A very good afternoon to all of you. My name is Ashwini Kumar Kota. I run this organization called Excel Pro Training Solutions Private Limited, and on behalf of my organization, today I welcome you all to this webinar on e-induction for on-time employee onboarding. Going ahead from here, as you can see on the screen, this is a small webinar on e-induction for on-time employee onboarding. Some of you might be wondering why on-time onboarding. Well, it's very simple. The entire challenge in induction is doing it right the first time on time. If you do a fantastic induction program a month after a person has joined, you might as well not do it. He can do it for you. That's the whole challenge here. To give you a little run about the organization we run, I'm sure most of you would have by now already explored our website, understood what Excel Pro does, who we are, and what we do. Just in case you could not get or find time to understand Excel Pro, I'll run you through it for just a couple of minutes now. First of all, we are a proper e-learning company. We specialize in corporate e-learning, which means we don't do schools, we don't do colleges, we do corporate e-learning. And in e-learning, we specialize in e-induction and corporate e-learning. When I say e-induction, any kind of induction programs, especially the e-induction programs which are required by the organizations across the country, that's India, we provide e-induction solutions of diverse nature. That's our primary business. And that's exactly why I'm specializing in this subject and I can do a webinar today. And second, we provide a host of corporate e-learning solutions. They're of two types. One, if you have any content which you want it to be converted into e-learning to train your staff, we do that. And second, we have a host of about 65 odd titles or training programs which we provide as e-learning solutions. So for example, if you want to train your team on say time management and you don't have the time or the resources to call them together to a classroom, or you're finding difficult to get a trainer, we do have automatic self-learning solutions using LMS, that's a learning management systems, or CDs, or blended mode through which we can offer you these services. To know more about corporate e-learning, you can visit us at our website. We are located at Mumbai and Bangalore on the physical space on this planet. And in the virtual space, you can meet us at excelprotraining.com. Google up Excel Pro, and we're always there to help you or assist you with any kind of e-learning requirement. As you all know, e-learning is the in thing. It's a thing which is happening. It's like as every day passes by, the industry is growing at, I mean, the last year it grew about 73%. That's what somebody was talking about. So it's a fast growing industry, and most of you, even if you're not into e-learning, very soon you will be. So this is something which will help you connect, and you can visit our website to know the latest developments. That's about us, an introduction about Excel Pro. Now moving on to the very purpose for which we are here. That's e-induction. Before I talk about e-induction for on-time employee onboarding, sounds like heavy stuff, but let me start off with what exactly is e-induction. All of you will be conducting induction programs, and even if you're not conducting, I'm 100% sure the very fact that you are in a decent company or a good company tells me that you have been inducted into the organization. E-induction is nothing but induction with an E. That's that simple. So if you look at any induction intervention and if you put electronic technology to it to make your life easier, there is use of electronic technology for effective onboarding. So wherever technology is used for induction, which means we are not changing the game, we are changing how the game is played. So the induction program doesn't change, the fundamentals don't change, your intentions don't change. What changes the mode of delivery. So how you're delivering the induction program changes, and that happens through electronic technology. And when you use electronic technology or the web-based technologies, what happens? Few things happen. First, you can have an induction solution or a part of the induction solution in an asynchronous manner. Jargon apart, asynchronous means not real time. What doesn't happen in real time? I'll give you a very practical example. Right now, we're doing a webinar. A lot of people wanted to participate. They gave their names, registered for the webinar. But what if, unfortunately, your boss calls you right now and says, no, you have to attend a very, very important meeting. You can't be there for the webinar. Now, you can't be there for the real-time webinar, but what we do, an entire recording of this webinar will be placed online on our website. So the same gentleman or a lady, after a week, 10 days, 1 month, can visit that place and go through the entire webinar as is. Now that is asynchronous, not real time. But if you're here with me real time, that is called synchronous. Difference, in real time you can have an interaction, we can interact with each other. In an unreal time, or what is not real time, you will not be interacting with each other. So the The e-induction can also be either asynchronous or synchronous or a combination of both of them, which is called blended. For example, if you're running an induction program where a part of it is run in a synchronous manner, where a person is doing a web-based activity or a video-based activity or an in-person activity, and a part of the content is placed online, that will be a combination called blended. The next, a question mark. Why a question mark? Well, e-learning is a very fast evolving space, and till date we have come from asynchronous, synchronous to blended. I don't know tomorrow. Tomorrow the technology might be even more evolved. We could do something else. So we would like to go ahead and put a question mark to define all new technologies which are there to come and which can make the induction experience much more wonderful. So now that we know what e-induction is all about, let's look at why e-induction. Whenever we talk of e-induction, the question, what's in it for me? The value proposition in e-induction has to be better than what a normal induction is all about. Only then it makes sense for you. First and foremost, the e-induction ensures a better retention and recall. Better retention and recall. Why? Because the experience what you give to a person can be made much, much more powerful or beautiful or more engaging. On this note, now that I think all of you are on board, I have a quick question to ask you. So I'll take a quick poll. Right now, you'll see a question coming up in front of you on your screen. Do you use e-learning in your organization? Do you use e-learning in your organization? You can see the question in front of you. You have to click on the answer. There's a yes, there's a no, there's a not sure. In any form, I'm not talking of e-induction. If you use e-learning in any form, it's yes. If you use e-learning, or rather don't use e-learning at all, it is no. And you are in the organization, you recently joined or something, and you're not aware of the actual reality, it's not sure. Well, the poll is up, and I'm closing the polls right now. The results are fantastic. I'll share the results with you. As you can see here, 50% said yes, 46% said no, and 4% said not sure. Well, that's a fantastic score because we're running a packed house today. And on those note, we have almost 50% organizations already doing e-learning. So you can focus on e-induction. Those of you who are not doing e-learning, probably by the time I do my next webinar or the webinar after that, you will be joining the band. So with this good note, I hide the results and we go back to our webinar. Second point, effective utilization of time. Now, in every organization today, even the government organizations for that matter, utilization of time seems to be the most and the utmost important agenda. And time is one resource we cannot renew or revive or revise. So if you talk of utilization of time in terms of the time spent for an e-induction, there's no better way we can do it than with e-induction. Second, highly cost effective. E-induction seems to be a much better, a much cost effective option. I'll discuss with you in the next few slides how we do it. High level of engaged involvement of the participant. It's not a classroom where somebody comes, sits, discusses, and goes away. It's a level of engagement which is beyond the normal interaction. So there's a very high level of engagement. We'll discuss more how it happens. It's trainer proof. Recently, I was interacting with a couple of organizations on some training programs they wanted to be conducted, and they were exploring an e-learning option. I was wondering, why do you want to e-learning? This is a topic which is more of like something which can be done by trainers. The answer was simple. I've got a fantastic trainer in Bombay. He does a great job. But there are three other locations where I don't have good trainers. And to get a trainer to travel there on the dates I want, do the program, come back, manage retention, it's getting too much for me. So what I want is something where it is trainer proof, where if I got a great trainer, the ability of the trainer can be worked with in a fashion that everybody across the country or the globe gains for it, by it. Similarly with e-induction. Geography proof, as I mentioned, wherever you are in the world doesn't matter. A simple example of what's happening today, I've got participants from all over India and a few abroad, and we're all sitting here at this time discussing various details about e-induction. Last and most important, e-induction is always on time, anytime. Remember the number of times your induction never happened on time. Number of times you met employees who have joined your organization and were waiting for induction to happen. And you know exactly what condition I'm talking about. So with e-induction, there's one thing for sure. It's always on time and anytime you want it, it's on time. Let's see how it can be done. Before I go to why on time, there's a quick poll I would like you to run once again since we were doing the poll a little while ago. This is on e-induction. The poll is 50% of you said you do use e-learning. So my question for you is, do you use e-learning for e-induction? Do you use your e-learning solutions for e-induction or using it for some other services? As you can see here, 21% of you said yes, 69% of you said no, and 10% of you said partly. Now, this makes the program much more interesting, because if you're already into e-learning and want to know how e-induction can be started, worked up, benefited, today is the day for you. And if you're not into e-learning, if you want to make a beginning with e-induction, let's see how we can make it happen. On this note, I hide the results and we go back to our webinar once again. Here we go. First and foremost thing is, if you don't induct them, why on time induction? If you don't induct them, they will figure their way out anyways. I had a very interesting discussion with a head HR of a company some time back. He conducted an experiment about induction in a very funny way. The gentleman called all the new joiners, the new joinees the first day, gave them all a briefing about stuff, what's required to be told about the organization, but never told them what happens at lunch, as in who gives them lunch, whether they're supposed to carry lunch, nothing about lunch. And then he quietly finished the session and then left them around for other activities, and he went off to his cabin. During lunch hour, the gentleman was sitting at the lunch table. They have a very nice lunch facility. It's a large organization. And he sees that after 10 minutes, the entire team of new joiners found its way to the lunchroom, and they knew whom to ask, what to ask, where to sit, and they figured their way out and had a good meal. And he said, that's the way it works out. If I don't tell them, they won't wait for me. They will ask and figure their way out. Now, the magic here is, luckily, there's one lunchroom, one lunch place, and it's a good thing to happen. What if he did not tell them certain important details about the organization, and they figured their way out by asking people, and then you only know what the results could be? Figuring out leads to both loss of efficiency and cultural implications. Every HR department deals with these two problems in a big way. Loss of efficiency, why? We have taken a fantastic human being, brought him on board, did not induct him, left him to figure out. So the first few months he's figuring out. After that, we don't have a fully charged person. It's always like a vehicle which started a race on a bad start. Cultural implications. Many a times, organizational politics, gossip, and other informal channels do tend to find their way into mainstream communication. And this is one risk we run if we are talking about not inducting people properly. Figuring out could lead to implications. What happens if we induct later? If you're inducting somebody later, there's something I've seen in a real life situation once again. There's an organization which conducts its induction program once every 3 months. The logic is, I need a batch. I need a batch of at least 20, 30 people to be called to my head office and then do the induction. They do it at the head office. Comedy here is, a person joining the remote location is working for 3 months, interacting, delivering results, carrying targets, everything happening. And after 3 months, when he or she comes for the induction program, what we see is, we first have to make the person unlearn all things what is figured out, then make him relearn, and in the process, God knows what is learned, what is not learned. Eventually, the evening was good, the entertainment was good, the meal was good, got to shake hands with the CEO and the MD, and you go back to what we're doing. What was induction all about? Well, it was everything else but an induction. So you don't conduct your honeymoon after 5 years of getting married. Either you do it immediately on getting married or you don't do it at all. So doing an induction program after 3 months is like a delayed honeymoon, which is as well as denied. Next important point, we have to create a balance between urgent and important. Now, here is where I'm going to start going deeper into e-induction. When I say induction program, I would not want you all to be stereotyping your thoughts onto the entire thing what happens in induction. We package a lot of stuff about the company, the history, geography, this, that, product, process, HR policies, host of policies which come in. Everything which needs to be put in gets put in. Yes, it is very important. Within that, what is most urgent? If a person needs to know something on day one, it's very important that we ensure the person knows it on day one. If a person needs to know something very importantly, but not necessarily on day one, we can take a little liberty on it. So you need to break your induction into what is urgent, what is important, and what is both. All of you have gone through this particular model, urgent versus important, so you would know what I'm talking about. Next, moving a little forward. Here's a clear message on the wall kind of a thing. Organizations are very rarely able to quantify the implications of not inducting on time. This is a real sad fact we all live with, and this is one reason why induction is either neglected or does not get the due importance. What I mean by it, very simply put, everybody says induction is important. All of us, some of us are HR executives who have responsibility of conducting induction programs, but very rarely I've come across organizations which take the effort or able to quantify to whatever extent possible the effectiveness or efficiency of the induction intervention. So this is an area which, since we are not able to quantify very clearly, why take chances with it? We might as well do whatever is best possible. And what is that? First, to understand, is e-induction the right step for your organization? I can talk on e-induction, your friends will talk about it on popular sites. You can see people talking and commenting about it. You need to first be very clear induction prior to planning, rather prior to planning induction, whether it suits you. How do you do that? First and foremost, do you have an induction program in place? The most important thing is if you do not have an induction program at all in place, the need of the hour is not e-induction or normal induction. Need of the hour is to get the induction program in place. How do you get the induction program in place? As an organization, as a management, what we need to do is decide upon who are the kind of people we're inducting, at what level we're inducting normally, and the kind of induction program we are running. Once you have the induction program in place, you need to understand what are the gaps in the generic induction program. Unless we have a problem, we can't solve it. If there's no problem, there's nothing to be solved. So if we are talking about induction programs efficiency, it has to have some gap to it. Gap would mean if you do not find your induction effective, if you find that your participants are having certain concerns, certain time problems, certain problems related to quality, or whatever the problems are, look at the induction intervention and identify the gaps. Common gaps, what I've come across in my interaction with certain organizations are, first and foremost is location or geography. Employees join across various locations, and if the batches are not of a substantial size, we cannot bring them to one location for induction. Second, time of senior management, a very, very important thing. Many a times we require the CEO or MD to give the opening speech. We require the CEO to come and tell us what the company is all about or what the vision is all about. And that's when the CEO is abroad, is traveling, is not there. And then you have to make the induction program as per the boss's time. That is very painful. You know how it is. So in this consideration, if that's a problem for you, we need to work it with e-learning. The next we have another situation, efficiency of trainer. We cannot have the same trainer training everybody during the induction program. So different people have got different efficiencies, and if the efficiency of the trainer is going to impact the way a training program is to be conducted, especially induction program, so we'll have three different batches of people inducted by three different core trainers, and what eventually happens is three different sets of thoughts or ideologies. Localization concerns, a very important concern for companies spread geographically across India or abroad. We are a nation of God knows how many languages we speak, and globally there are many more languages. So, if we have to conduct induction programs for our partners or employees joining across various locations, we would love to conduct at least one module or two modules for them at or rather in the language which they follow. So if you have to go find a trainer every time you do an induction program, it's painful. So e-induction is something where you can localize them very easily. You can have the efficiency of trainer. Senior management videos can be easily captured, placed in a fantastic, beautiful fashion, and they can be used as you want it. And of course, ever changing policies, especially if you're in some companies which are mainly in the business of finance, pharma, etc., which require a lot of product knowledge and a lot of policies. So the policies keep changing, and with e-induction, you can keep them up to date as of this minute and conduct them when you want. Last and most important, duration of induction programs. In the last 10 years of my dealing with this sector, I've seen induction programs ranging from 1 hour to 15 days. There are some companies do it for a month also. 1 hour to 15 days is what I've seen live. So you can imagine the duration is like a very wide span. Many a times, if you actually break the duration properly and say it, the time wasted is way beyond the time actually utilized. So duration of the induction program plays a key role, and e-induction helps you to plan better and do it in a much more efficient fashion. How? Let's look at what are the options we got here. First and foremost, a complete asynchronous induction program. When I talk of asynchronous induction program, you can have the entire induction program canned and online. Okay, I've got a question here. The gentleman, I'll try to pronounce your name, Bruhad. Bruhad asked me, in addition to what you said, meeting with product process other stakeholders to give you a hang on business people you will deal with in the future, basically to understand the culture in depth. Bruhad, I think it's more of a statement. Yes, I've repeated a statement. Is a query. Tell me this in a specific query you're asking me in addition to the statement. So Bruhad mentions that in case meetings, the product process, other stakeholders give you a hang of the business people, you'll deal with them in the future. Fantastic. In e-learning, when you're doing a combination of e-learning and normal learning or combination of e-learning, synchronous, asynchronous, it happens. I'll take you through it right now. First and foremost, when we talk of asynchronous induction, any aspect which is something or rather a knowledge based aspect which a person needs to know. Just for example, the office timings, the locations, the various business history, etc. These things can be done in an asynchronous manner where it is online, the person clicks, logs in. The way we are doing it right now, there's some video coming, there's some graphics coming, fantastic audio coming, and the person is able to understand. And there's some quizzes and tests which are given to ensure the person learns properly. Second important element is that blended induction. As Broad put it, there are a few things which you can blend together. How do you do it? Take an asynchronous aspect, which is put all the content online, which can be automatically learned by the person. Take a synchronous aspect where you need a live engagement or interaction, either online using a webinar mode or a video conference or in-person meeting. Using a combination of them, we can form a blended induction. Now, at Excel Pro, we are not just an IT company. We are a hardcore e-induction firm with an expert or an e-learning firm with an expertise in IT also. So what we do is we consult with organizations to design what kind of induction works best for them. So based on my past experience, what I can frankly say is there is no one size fits all. So if you're exploring induction, you have to customize something exclusively for you. Okay, Sukanya here has a question. As an HR, isn't it important to have a personal human touch with the new employees? How does e-induction bridge the gap? A very interesting and important question. As HR, it is 100% important to have a very personal and human touch with the employees. Now, if I break the human touch into the exactly what kind of interaction are we talking about? It is that when a person comes into the organization, you have to give him or her a warm welcome, a confidence that I am there for you, and this is the face of the organization, and we are there to walk the talk together. To do that, we do it in two ways. If it is possible for the person to be in person present at the organization when the person joins, great. But we are talking of situations where we are not able to conduct on time induction. That is when we do it online. Recently, I was working with an organization which had the same exact ditto question. They said, look, my people join me all across the country. They are present in some 40 locations across the country. And they said, I want my HR person to be the first person they meet. Rather, they had a very fantastic example. They were giving the example of, I think, a penguin or some animal, wherein the moment it opens its eyes, when the chick comes out of the egg, it opens its eyes. The first person it sees is the mother. So after that, whatever happens, it goes back to the mother. So HR is like the mother of the organization. What they say is when some person joins my organization, I want him or her to meet or know the HR person first as the mother of the organization. So whatever you want, whenever you want, we are there for you. I said it's very important and very interesting, a lovely idea, but how do we make it happen? A person joining in Guwahati one day, same person joining in some other part of the country, and you cannot get them to come to your HO on joining. We should find a way out, and we did find a way out. First, we thought, why not use Skype? We tried using Skype, but Skype didn't come out to be very, very appealing because it's, I mean, it's a video, it's good for one-to-one chat, but not for giving the best appeal. That's when they said, why not go for a video conference? So what they did was a quick 15-minute of video conference using Reliance Web World of all the facilities available all across the country. So people are assembled over there, a live interaction is given, a face of the organization is given, the person meets online the HR manager. After that, they start going into the asynchronous way, where it is blended in a manner that whatever the HR manager talked or spoke about for the first 15 minutes is taken online, and the person who's finding it very convenient to go through the whole thing and engage. And there's much more to it. I'm giving you a small example, and it turned out to be a very lovely experience for them. E-induction coupled with a classroom sessions and factory visits. A question which I was expecting, but luckily hasn't come now, so I'll take advantage of it. Is many organizations which are factory-driven organizations have got plant visits. E-induction cannot be a replacement for a factory visit. So what we do is e-induction is always coupled with factory visit. Only do asynchronous induction for the content what can be put online. Do synchronous induction for that aspect like a CEO speech or a video conferencing thing, and then do a factory visit for a real life factory understanding. Now, a factory visit for a person who is a salesperson joining in Delhi can be delayed by a week or 10 days a month. Nothing goes wrong. But that person not knowing the HR policies on day one is a problem. So, all break the entire induction into parts. What can be or should be done on time should be done first. Okay, now there's another point from Bruhad which says he's sharing few details about empathizing with the new joinees, will working for them only. Yes, I do agree with all these aspects, but what we're talking about here is the practicality. If you're able to get your employees to join you and do an induction on the first day, do not bother, you're doing right, all is well, great. If you're not able to do it, we are finding the next best option here. I have a question from Toral Mehta. Do you mean if possible live interaction or maybe live induction is always better than induction so that they can meet up with the senior management? My answer is very simple. Depending upon the kind of organization you are, which means every employee joining your organization, if you are able to have a proper induction system wherein everything live is working for you in a fantastic fashion, then practically there's no reason to explore e-induction. But if there's anything you're doing live and the efficiency of that thing can be improved with an e-induction involvement, you should explore it. So what I recommend is always look at what you got in front of you, the real life situation all of you are working in, and which are the pain areas or areas of improvement, and which parts of the induction which I'm talking about will benefit you, plug them in. If there's nothing to benefit, don't bother. If there's something to benefit, gain by it. Because there's certain areas I'm going to come in the next couple of minutes, which will be very interesting from the live versus e point of view. Another question here, induction is the most important thing that needs to be carried out. How does e-induction percolate the passion of the higher authorities and vision of the MD? So my answer is very simple. Somehow you need to pay attention to breaking up part. When you talk of breaking up, you cannot communicate the entire passion of the owners, promoters, MD in 2 minutes, even in the first minute the MD is meeting the employees. It has to be percolated and it has to be imbibed. And what we're saying here is if your MD cannot meet every new inductee the very first minute the person is joining, it doesn't mean the person cannot be given the message. The person can be given the message, but in a different manner. Okay, there are a few more questions, but what I'll do is I'll go through a few more points, come back to the questions. If you see on the screen right now, you're seeing a point called pre-induction. Now, this is one of the latest things happening in the world of induction and e-induction. Something called pre-induction, where what organizations do and what we all are privy to is whenever you hire a person, the person does not join your organization immediately. So after you hire the person takes about a month, 2 months, or 3 months to join you. That's a notice period. Or many times there's a break or a gap in it. So what pre-induction does is after you've made the offer, all the non-confidential information about your company, which a person should know before he comes to join you, like your history, your product details, or anything about a company which the person can know, are provided to the person online to go through, understand, work with, attend to quizzes, be clear of before the person joins. There are a few organizations I'm working with right now where they've got a few forms which can be filled online even before the person comes for induction. Their philosophy is very simple. I will not want my employees sitting in my reception or a conference room for half a day trying to fill forms, which can be filled even before the person comes in. A very valid point. I said yes. So why does the person have to go through a very turbulent time of filling in forms after form after form? And many times people forget to get the information, like people forget to get copies of degree certificates. So all those things can be scanned and uploaded online. So the person gives them okay, get the final on the first day, come with the originals, show it to us, and carry on. So what I'm talking about is forming a system which suits your organization. I'll take a quick query here. That is Rohini. Rohini's query is: as a digital media company wherein we have business plus technology mix of employees, every alternative at least one new person coming in, and it is very necessary to induct the person personally on the same day. How e-induction is helpful in this case? Rohini, the quick answer is, although I don't know your organization, one, all your organization can have a pre-induction where anything which need not be done right now should be done before the person comes in, which means in the induction process, look at all the details which a person can attend to before coming to your table. If it can be done before, get it done. Once the person comes to the table or once is there, any aspect which does not require direct human intervention can be done online. Which requires direct human intervention should be done either online if the people are spread geographically, or in person if they're in the same place. There's a question from Bruhad once again. What do we do when we deal with people in areas where there is a low bandwidth, that's rural areas, and on time thing gets delayed due to a bandwidth issue? So what can we do in this case? Well, a very valid question, Bruhat, because there's a particular insurance company for which we have been doing some groundwork some time back, almost a month and a half back. Same experience where the people are traveling far and wide with the remote areas, and they are not able to be given a certain kind of a training. So the entire thing was provided to them in the form of a CD. The CDs were couriered to them, and the people could access them using the laptops because they were given the laptops. Of course, everything has got a rider. E-learning needs a little bit of a technology push, as it doesn't work. Next point, choosing the right combination to suit your needs is the key to success. So this, as I keep on repeating in this webinar, never try to fit in e-induction to a system. These are all additional tools coming your way, and these tools are helpful for you only if you use them in combination to address specific needs. If you don't have a specific need being addressed, there is no such one package called e-induction. Take it, turn the key, it starts. It doesn't work like that. Look at exactly what your needs are. Look at what you do in induction. In that, look at exactly what areas are the pain areas and where you have a value proposition coming from e-induction. What I recommend is after the webinar, you can mark us mails with your exact specific queries. I want to do this. How does it work out? We'll be more than happy to answer your specific requirements, which will help you to think better in those lines. Couple of more questions, but before that, a few more points, then I'll come back to you. Because when we talk of e-induction, there are certain areas which certain aspects you need to be very, very familiar with. The first and foremost is called interactive induction programs. Some companies are very, very particular that the induction program has to be interactive. I will not want my employees sitting in front of a computer looking like a fool, listening to something and looking at some video clip. That's not induction. I totally agree with them. They say make it interactive. Yes, we should make it interactive. The only way you can interact with the computer is using the keyboard or the mouse. But that's the magic. The combination of keyboard and mouse, where you can type, click, can be done in such a fantastic way that the entire induction experience turns into a lovely experience for the person. Second, there are certain organizations for whom we are building game-based induction programs. So the entire induction is themed around a particular game, and the person plays the game. It's not a video game; it's a proper strategy game where you are in the game, you're doing something, playing something, actively engaging. But at the end of the game, you've already been inducted, or rather given the due inputs about induction. Sanjay has got a question. Please tell us the cost associated with 30 minutes induction program at 2 points. Sanjay, I couldn't get the point about the 2 points, but I'll give you an idea about the induction program. A 30-minute induction program will depend upon whether you're doing it in an interactive way, you're doing it in a game-based way, or you're doing the next point the narrative way, or you're doing it in the blended way. Narrative is when there's a one-way talk, somebody is talking, speaking, telling you things, and you're going about in a one-way traffic kind of a thing. And blended is a combination of using our online tools, e-induction as well as classroom. Normally, a 30-minute induction program development has a few blocks to it. I'll come to the blocks. Is the content yours or is the consultant making the content? Is the storyboard done by the consultant? Is the technology completely developed for a 30-minute thing or is it blended? There are a host of things which play. So on a very, very ballpark figure, this goes anywhere between say 15 to 20,000 rupees as a minimum thing and could go up to a lakh and a half on upper side. So it's a very wide range and it's highly because where the cost comes in for you is the level of customization you require from the technology point of view and the level of intellectual inputs you require from the consultants who make it for you. So it depends upon where you're coming in from, the cost changes accordingly. Hope it answers the question, Sanjay. Next, Sukanya has another question. Would you recommend e-induction for startups, SMEs? I would 100% recommend e-induction for startups and SMEs. And just to share with you, uh, again, repeating my name, I am Ashwini Kumar Kota, just in case you forgot. I run three different businesses myself. E-learning happens to be my latest venture, that is Excel Pro. Before that, I have Synergia Consulting, and some of you have met me in Synergia Consulting, where I do a lot of strategy consulting and change management work. It's a company specializing in working with SMEs and emerging corporates to help them professionalize their business. And one challenge they faced there was in terms of good talent and cost. The HR people there keep changing very fast in many organizations, or they're not very, very competent because they use sometimes only junior HR people for certain activities. Also, the cost becomes a major factor for them. In such circumstances, SMEs can use e-learning very effectively. Okay, Sharon has got a question, but don't you believe the human personal touch will be lost unless a trainer body is appointed to assist a new joinee during induction? I think it's Sairaj's question. Sairaj, I've already answered the question, and if you've been following the track on e-learning, this question has been answered. I will send you the link for this webcast so that you can go through it in detail, and we'll connect more on it offline because I've got a positive time here. Before I take more questions, I'm going to come back with a few more points for you. There are a few prerequisites for induction. First and foremost, be absolutely clear about the fundamental reasons for opting for induction. As some of your questions are pointing out, your fundamental reason for opting for induction and what part of it are you going to take the e-way is extremely critical. Don't just jump onto the bandwagon, it won't help you. Second point is define the exact approach suited to your context. If you believe, all of us believe human touch is very important. Question here is it happening, not happening? If it's happening and everything is great, gung ho, don't spoil the cart, let it run. If you feel it can be better or human interaction is happening, but at the same time knowledge transfer can be better, take the knowledge part online, keep the human part in person. So e-induction, I'll repeat once again, is not everything going online. It is a combination of certain things going online where the cognitive part or the knowledge part is given online, the human touch is given offline and suit and customized to specific requirements. Vijay has got a question here. Vijay from Indigene Life Systems Pharma, that's what I understand is the company. We have induction on for the first 3 weeks of every month, but takes at least 2 to 3 hours to do documentation. Do you have any solution through which no hours for documentation can be reduced? Vijay, I'll just take you back a few minutes. I was mentioning about doing it online or something called pre-induction. And to get you more details, I suggest we can connect offline and take you through it. But for the audience, I'll repeat the point. Form filling, if it can be done online, take it online. If it cannot be done online, has to be done in person. There's no way e-learning can help you. But there is a company where we did something for them very interesting. The entire guidelines for filling the form were online. So there are solutions for it. So Vijay, I suggest you can talk to somebody from the office or get in touch with you. They'll help you with this particular query. Rohan, is another question. So is it customized simulation that you're talking about, game-based? Bruhad, game-based is absolutely simulation. Everything else is not simulation. Only game-based learning is simulation. Deepali has got a question. Can you give us example for each type? Deepali, I've been mentioning examples, but because it's all confidential information, I can't give you names of companies. But I have been connecting on certain case-based case scenarios. So if any specific example you're looking at, you can ask us right now, or suggest we can discuss offline with you on this one. Turul has got a question. Narrative induction program. She needs more clarity. Rather, the person needs more clarity on that. Turul, narrative is when there's a narration happening. When it's a narration, you switch on the computer and there's a CD playing or an online thing playing, where the participant is not required to either click something or is not required to type something, is not required to interact with the computer. When that happens, it's called narrative. So exactly in such situations where a person is not tech friendly, that is when we do narrative induction. Different cadres of employees need to be inducted in different way, best suited for them. Now here is a point I would like to very strongly make here. Never try to make one single induction program for your organization. You should always ensure that the induction program is customized to the cadre of people you are dealing with. This goes without saying. Induction plan and roadmap are very important. I'm sure working on it. And e-induction cannot set right a faulty induction policy. Rather, it can magnify it. This is the core statement I would like to make today. First of all, get your induction right, then move into induction. If any company does not have a good induction plan or a system, by taking it the e-way, will only complicate the matters. Geeta has a question. May I request you to explain game-based programs with some instances? Geeta, I'll give you a very simple practical example. If somebody is joining Excel Pro tomorrow, the person will go through an induction program and he will actually go through something called as a Vikram Betal game. So where the Betal is the HR manager, Vikram is of course the CEO who appears in the end, and the employee is the person who walks in and has to deal with Betal and his questions. So the entire thing is worked out in a game-based fashion where you are playing the Vikram Betal game, wherein there's a story given, the question given, something coming up, there's a whole stuff to it, and the points given to it. Similarly, we had made something for somebody else in the form of a car race. They were smitten by the Graffri and they wanted something as a Ferrari car race kind of a thing. So everything which goes into a car, the pit stop and all the stuff were into it. And using those themes, we had made something for them. So if some company is very particularly kicked up about a game-based thing, an online game can be developed for them. Okay. A question by Parin Vitlani. Do you recommend an e-learning induction program for staff hired at field level? This is because 80% of our hiring is field level officer where their level of understanding is fairly low. If you look at 80% of work, what we look at or what inquiries come to us are from organizations like yours, Parin. It's very interesting because when the people are on the field, that's when they require a lot of support of this kind, which helps them to refer back, connect back, and be bonded. And wherever we're not able to send them information in a very interesting and passionate manner, e-learning helps us. It's always useful for you. Jyoti has a question. Do you recommend e-learning induction? I think the same question, Jyoti. Yeah, I just answered that. Okay. Deepali Chandralek has a question. How do you suggest inductions can happen systematically? There are a small number of new joinees across various locations. E-learning is very easy because it doesn't differentiate between one employee or 100 employees. We can customize something for in a fashion that what a person should know or see or experience when a person joins the company first moment, first day, get him that. What he should know, experience, or see the second day, third day, we can work on a very systematic pattern on it. So these are all the questions that are coming in are more about the induction process. We have to customize the process in a manner where we are clear. My employee should know this before joining the company. How best can I do it for him? My employee should know this on joining. How do I do it? 1 week after joining, how do I do it? It's not urgent. Let's not bother about it. Coming back to the next point, e-induction is not just for employees. Now, although most of you might be dealing with employee induction, e-induction is also for contract staff in case you got somebody coming on contract. It's for channel partners if you got dealers, distributors, and franchisees. It's also for vendors and clients, wherein if there are any vendors and clients who would like to induct them into your system, there are some large companies who have a proper vendor induction program. I mean, if I'm a vendor to them, I'm inducted to know what their policies are, how they make the payments, etc. It's a whole stuff to it. I have a few more questions. Some of you might be wondering why I'm not answering. I'm going to run the program for a few more minutes because some of you might have a very tight schedule and I have taken 1 hour of your time. I'm going to run the few points and at the end of these points, before I close, I'll answer all the questions. So those of you who got the liberty of time, please bear with me and continue with me on this one. Members associates can also be inducted. We have an organization which has got a membership driven approach. It's a what do you call it, as a council, and for them we have given them something which inducted members. And the whole essence here is that better the induction, which is basically the welcome, better the interaction, and smarter the business. If you really want to make good business sense, ensure that your induction is rocking, and e-induction should be the feather in the cap to make it rock. Now, if you want to do it, if you've decided or are deciding on e-induction, there is another interesting angle which comes along with it. How do you make it? Like if you're an HR department, making an induction plan is like, of course, bread and butter for you. You'll make it very well. You made the induction manuals, you made the process. But when it comes to e-induction, there's another very interesting angle called technology which comes in. So if you have a technology involvement, e-induction cannot be made in-house by all organizations. If you have the tech wherewithal, you can do it. But if you don't have, it's always best to outsource it. So when you're outsourcing it, you need to be very clear, sorry, what to outsource and what not to outsource in induction. Just because you can outsource, don't try to outsource everything. There's a very important decision called make or buy decision. Always remember, anything you can make by yourself, you should always do it, because it's your baby. You can do the best for it. What you cannot make or is not your core competency, like for example, designing an e-learning program, it may not be a core competencies, but designing the induction program is your core competency. So there are companies like us, you make an induction program, we will work the e-learning for you. But if you don't know or are not comfortable or don't have the time to make the induction, we'll do that also for you. Next, development process is most commonly outsourced because designing is done by the company, development is the IT part of it. However, I have a recommendation to make. It's just a gentle recommendation. All facts and pictures of the company need to be given by the company because it gives a lot of bonding. Pictures and videos are something we strongly recommend, because if you see a person on a video or a picture, or if you see a plant functioning, the recall is always higher. And that's exactly why Facebook is Facebook today. If you see Facebook, it's one of the best business happening, and it's a rock star. We all know what it is. Any day open your Facebook account, look at the page and see how much of it is text, how much of it is pictures. That's it, period. The answer is in front of you. Human beings connect more with the graphics and images and videos and all those things, so you have to put a lot of that stuff to make it very interesting and engaging. Second very important point, give your team a chance to contribute. This again, it was a very interesting experience I had with a company. It was an MNC, a US MNC in India. They said, we want e-induction. We would like you to develop it for us. These are the policies, but you will not use any professional talent. You will use our employees. So we actually had their employees singing the jingle, designing the graphics, giving us the photographs and such stuff. It was fun for us also to work with them. The way you look at it, engaging your own employees makes it lovely for them. Professional expertise coupled with the emotion of your people gives a lovely touch to the induction process. Maintenance support, always outsource it. Why? There's no point trying to make small corrections every time your sales figures change, your people change. It's a cumbersome task for you. But if it's an e-induction company, it's a routine work for them. So we take up maintenance support contracts from our clients. Many of them we do it for them, where they just send us one email, change this to this, and it's done. So for them, it's real time. For us, it's daily bread and butter. So works very well for the technology point of view as well as for the maintenance point of view, the content part. A quick one on, if I talk of induction, I should also tell you as to how to choose the right induction partner. Also, I am one of the companies which provides e-induction services, but right now I'm talking more like a person who is conducting a seminar in a very neutral fashion. So the first and most important thing is DIY, which means do it yourself. If you have the content, technology, and the team to develop it and ensure it's worth it. Because if you have the wherewithal, you don't need to walk into somebody else and ask for results, but ensure it's worth it. Never try amateur work with induction, it spoils the whole cake. It's worse than doing a normal induction. Namesake induction is worse if you can see the line here, they're not having induction program as it sends a wrong message to new joiners immediately on joining. The day I walk in, let's look at our houses. When you walk into your own house, which is the most well kept part of your house? It's always a drawing room. Why? It's because somebody walking in is getting the first impression. You make it or break it. Your drawing room is shabby, your bedroom is fantastic, your kitchen is like glossy, fantastic. And you say, can a drawing room is like, okay, come into my kitchen, I'll show you how stuff works. Does it work for you? Not for me at least. So the best way to do is the first impression is the best impression. E-induction, don't take chances, do it very professionally. If you have the capacity, do it, else get the professionals to do it. But always ensure that your induction is always like your portfolio. How? First, ensure that the e-learning company has a complete, clear in-house expertise. Why I'm saying it because it's based upon my own past experiences. For anybody, for you, for me, for somebody to start an e-learning company is not very difficult. It's like starting a recruitment business. You can wake up one day and start it. But developing expertise is not that easy. Why? You need to have a strong understanding of the induction process of various companies, the HR process, the training process, storyboarding expertise, technology in terms of the content conversion, what is done, video expertise, animation expertise, and the host of things which go into it. Along with that, you should have the ability to host the stuff, no LMS. There are many things into it. So there is like every business has got its own complications. So ensure that every partner you're dealing with is doing it in-house and is not outsourcing the core work. Why not outsourcing? You'll be dealing with somebody who's dealing with somebody. It might dilute the essence of the induction program. Second, licensed software, which, okay, personally, I'm very, very particular about values, and being in HR, I'm sure you're also very particular about it. I will not want any work done on a software which is not licensed. Why? It's more of ethics and values. Similarly, if you're a company which is very particular about that, always ensure that the softwares are licensed. Why I'm saying it? Because e-learning softwares are very, very costly. They come in the tune of 1.5 to 2 lakhs per piece, that is per PC. They don't have enterprise licenses. We use Adobe products, complete Adobe suites is what we use, e-learning suite and master collections. They come for a very good cost. But of course, we take pride in using them. That's a different story altogether. Never do e-learning as an add-on business. Suppose I'm an IT company, I don't have projects, my people are idle, chalo e-learning kar lete hain. If that's the case, you know exactly what e-learning you're doing. I have a philosophy, my life cannot be an option for you. Similarly, your e-induction is your passion, your life, your representation to your new joiners. Let it not be an option for somebody else, but a bread and butter. Custom developed demos and modules as a part of a requirement. Most companies in e-induction, especially us, we are very particular. We will develop a custom demo for you, win your heart, and then do the work. Otherwise, if we can't connect with you, we'll not do it. Why? Because not everybody can connect with everybody. You should have a match before you can take it forward. Strong storyboarding plus animation plus programming plus integration skills. Now these are the things you should look for when you're dealing with e-induction partners. If you can validate them on these ones, you've got a very good partner. You'll have a lovely experience doing your e-induction work. Couple of more points, what you should not have. Now in e-induction, many times you might come across a company which says, look, I'm an MNC with 1,000 employees. Well, they might have 1,000 employees, but what will you do with them? So a huge size doesn't matter because somebody has to do things your way. Second, there's no need for a company to be present next door. Funnily, we are headquartered, of course, we are registered office in Bombay, we've got an office there, and we've got a development center in Bangalore. But you will find it surprising, a major chunk of our work happens outside these two cities also. So almost 50% of our work, we do it in cities which are completely remotely located from Bombay and Bangalore, and we do a great job at it. How? That's how it works out. Somebody might say, I have experience in the industry. Well, this is one field where industry expertise is good to have, but it is not the deciding factor because the person has to connect with your culture and your company and have been in the e-learning field for a long time. Now, this is a very, very funny thing. If you hear it, laugh at it. Why? Because e-learning has been a very, very evolving field. 10 years back, what was e-learning is no longer there today. Last year, what was e-learning, and today, what we have as technology has changed. 2 years back, if you see what technology was used for e-learning, today, what we use, times have changed. E-learning companies have to be abreast with the latest thing. The cloud was not there 2 years back. Cloud e-learning is the in thing today. Similarly, Adobe e-learning suite came in just probably a year and a half back. So what we're talking about is a very dynamic target. You have to be abreast. Like in the, I think there's a movie called Wanted. It doesn't matter when you came. The question is, it had something about has the bullet gone it or not. What I talk about is, it doesn't matter how old a company you are, how new a company you are. What matters is, as of now, can you do justice to the organization, and do you have the right wherewithals as of today? Here is something for you, particularly for those of you considering e-induction. Always do a cost benefit analysis. Somebody asked me a question, I forgot your name, but you asked me a question on the pricing part. I give you an indicative pricing based upon what we normally see in the market, but it's very important for you to understand your what is the project you're talking about and what's the kind of a cost you're incurring. And it's very important to have that kind of figures for budget allocations. We have been interacting with some companies where they had some problems with the budgets. Why? Not that they did not have the budgets, but the budgeting is done once in a year. Last year we could not budget for e-induction. So how do I start it? We did find a way out because e-induction did not be started as one big gigantic elephantine project. It starts off as a very small module which can be purchased at a very micro price and can be used as a teaser or a starter in the company. An organization just did one small thing, that is effectiveness induction. They did a small online quiz kind of a thing for themselves. It was such a big hit because it came in the game way, and that led to them and their budgets being passed in a very fast manner when they actually went into the budgeting stage. Work with clear project plans. Opinions don't matter here. Cost of development versus opportunity cost. E-learning has got one rider. There is a cost involved in the development stage, and it's completely free after that, almost free. So always when doing the costing, do it on a per person basis. If you're getting some content developed right now, divide it over all the number of people you can get inducted using that content with minimal additional cost. There's no recurring cost to it. Intangible benefits. I'm quickly rushing because we're a little off time. And there's a direct impact on the performance of new joiners. So you need to ensure that your evaluation mechanism is in place. If I'm doing an e-induction or an induction program, like any other training program, do I have the evaluation mechanism in place or not? If you don't have a mechanism in place, you're dealing with an opinion. Some of you asked me a question about game-based learning and interactive learning. These are all things good to know, but always be clear to what extent you want to go deep into it. For example, the first thing is always learn with fun, but learning is not an option. Fun always is. If a person is not enjoying but has learned, it's okay. But if he's had a lot of fun playing some game and is not learned anything, you have a serious problem over there. In the guise of engaging, don't get obsessed by getting the interactivity and missing the whole content. Focus on the content, and how can we make him absorb better is when interactivity comes in. Okay, gaming again. There's some games which are very addictive. We have also designed some games for clients which are very addictive. Uh, on a common note, not taking any e-induction example, anybody who plays Angry Birds or Farmville in the normal gaming scenario without any learning is addicted to it. They keep on playing. If you have a game like that in induction, you have a problem because a person will focus more on playing it, enjoying it, might miss the bus on the learning part. Okay. Here is the most important part of the discussion for you, which directly comes to you. Every time you walk into your boss's chamber and say you want to do induction, unless you're a very lucky employee or all your stars are shining bright, you will face with something called as a resistance, which is either organizational or boss specific or whichever way. The first resistance you see is called a budgetary constraint. You are always bound to have a budgetary constraint. This is what you need to work with in a very systematic, phased wise manner. Never jump into e-induction as one big splash. Take a very microscule thing with a very minimal budget, implement it right, enjoy the experience, implement it along with the current induction. Why? All of you know what change management is. Never try to make big changes suddenly. The entire thing derails. That I'll never recommend you to attempt it. Tech phobia, either genuine or artificial. I've seen companies, really big companies in Bombay, where you might recollect about few years back, BlackBerry was a new launch. It came in new, And everybody who was somebody, a GM or a VP or somebody in these companies, were given a BlackBerry because it was a status symbol. The funny part was some of them had the secretaries operating the BlackBerry because they did not know how to use it. Few of them kept the BlackBerry for using basic telephony, and they used the emails for, or rather, emails on their computers. And I also know of people who check their emails on paper. The secretary prints the email, gives it to them, and they sign off the email with their comments. Well, this is the world we live in. We can't deny it. So let tech phobia not come in your way. If your organization is tech phobic, work with it in that fashion, in a manner that you take up only very, very small microscale steps, get them to align by it, and don't get into the tech trap. If you make a fantastic e-learning module and there's a tech phobia over there, it won't work. You have to make only that much which works for them. For a specific discussion on how we can help you, you can always talk to us or mark a mail to us. We'll guide you through it. Free of cost, of course. Now, here is something I would love to share with you. I was having a small chat with a client of ours, and we are having a discussion on e-learning, e-induction particularly. They have a mechanism where they do their induction programs in a nice five-star hotel, and they got this nice gala evening and all that. And when the e-induction story came up, the boss had a question. Right now, there's a lot of excitement, fun, and all those things, and they're taken to a good place. Why are you taking it away from them? There was no answer to it. But my question was, induct them in a proper way they learn. And if you want to really make them have fun, take them to Maldives, Malaysia, Bangkok, wherever you want. Let them have fun. Why mix things up? Have little fun learning, have a lot of fun, enjoy it. This is what I see in some very interesting organization. ये नहीं चलेगा, ये हमारे यहाँ नहीं चलेगा. It will not work for us. I ask a question, why will it not work for you? This is not in our culture. Our employees don't like it. There are a host of answers which are illogical. If you're in one such organization where there's something called as a mental roadblock, don't try to bang your head on it. You'll get a headache. The only thing you need to do is start off very, very, very small as a needle, very small, and blend it in with your current work, what you're doing, and slowly expand it. It will take you probably an year to do all the modules. But once your organization starts loving that little bit of what you're doing, they'll only ask you to do more of it. On this, I've got a lot of practical experience and I can always comment on it. Start in a very small way, a small test or a small video or a small graphic, small interactive, very small, not more than 15 minutes. Start off with that, and then after 3 months, you will see the change. I can guarantee it. Now comes the golden question. You might face with 1,000 roadblocks, but the whole fundamental question is, do you want to make it work? If you're driven, desired, and really, really passionate about making it work for your organization, yes, you can make it work. That's when we are there for you to help you make it work. But if you don't want to make it work, you're also one of those guys who are good to know, nice to talk, acha lagta hai, I know about this, I'm getting my general knowledge, then don't attempt it in a half-baked fashion. It will not work and irritate you further. Step by step approach, a quick one here. Understand needs very clearly. I'll run you through those few points which are very important. Options available, we discussed that. First the need, next the options, then choose the most appropriate option. Options would mean exactly what, narrative, interactive, which way you want to go, in that which module you want to start with, then choose the most appropriate one based upon your audience, your organization culture, and your exact requirement. Somebody asked a question some time back. Sorry, I missed your name again. The thing was, I've got so many forms to fill. That's a very specific, fantastic need. You should start working on that only. If you're looking at e-learning, don't bother about everything else. Just look at that. Get it working first. The moment it works, your boss will come to you and say, "Get us the next module. We can do more with it." That's when the fun starts. Last and most important, whatever you start in HR, you know it very well. You need to ensure it sustains. And like an organism within an organization, also, you have to breathe to make it sustain, make it alive. If all of you stop breathing for a change, you know what will happen. You cannot do that. You have to keep on pumping air in and out for your heart to keep alive and for you to be running. Similarly, e-induction also requires a regular intervention in a manner that you sustain it. How do you do it? It's not a one-off, off-the-shelf solution. I purchased it, I placed it, it should run. No, it requires your support. What kind of support? Continuous improvisation. Why? Your company is changing, you're a moving target. Every time new things happen in your company, you have to ensure that those new things are incorporated. If a company won an award yesterday, today morning it has to be in the program, and the batch being inducted today should be getting the information first hand. Similarly, new products, new policies, new processes, they're supposed to be incorporated. If you have nothing to change, at least change the skins. In the modern day, you know what skins are. These are basically covers. The look and feel of your program, look and feel of your basic things can change. The interactivity can change. The game can change. Ensure a dedicated team or a person is allocated to it. It's not a full-time job. It takes a very little time. But if one of you is creative enough, take it as a personal responsibility. You'll enjoy the experience. Next, monitor and track the progress, retention, recall, etc. All the rules of the game which apply to a normal training apply to e-learning, which apply to induction apply to e-induction. Just because it is e-induction, yes, it makes it faster, makes it smarter, makes it time bound. You save a lot of time. It's always absolutely on time, bang on when you want it, where you want it. But what cannot be measured cannot be achieved. You know this age old saying. So always ensure your measurement parameters are in place. Last point of the session, roll out in phases. Never ever. Whenever you go to a McDonald's, do you try to stuff the whole burger in your mouth in one shot? Even if you want to, you will not. You will choke to death. To enjoy any experience, you have to take it one bit at a time. Although a company like mine, which thrives on providing e-induction, e-learning services, we would love to take big assignments. Why not? But being a consultant and a professional, I know very well, by doing that, it will be a short-term gain, long-term disaster for you and for us both. We are in it for the long run. Take it very small at a time, enjoy the experience, keep on adding the modules. Before you know it, the entire thing would be running fantastically well for you. It always gives you scope for making course corrections at any point of time. And as in change management, when you bring in e-learning, bring in a very phased wise fashion. That is the main mantra of today. Any company can start e-learning on e-induction at any point of time. Always start with a small module. If you are not able to pinpoint exactly what module, which module, when, where, how, feel free to talk to either Hema in my Bombay office or to Kavita in my Bangalore office, or to mark a mail to me or any of us. You have a mail ID with you through which this reference came. I mean that invite for the webinar came. Mark us a mail. We'll speak to you. We'll guide you. We are very passionate about e-induction. That's why we made a business out of it. And what we do is consultation is free of cost. There's no cost associated. You might be a small company, big company. It doesn't matter. We are here to make it work for you. On this note, what I do now is I'll start taking the questions one by one. I have some questions right in front of which are pending. I'll start addressing them. Here's a question from Chandralekha. How do you suggest induction can happen systematically if there are a small number of new joinees across various locations? Chandralekha, induction can happen very systematically because let's take the case of one employee joining in one location today, next employee joining in some other location after a week. Now, if you take a complete asynchronous induction in a very systematic fashion, the employee has to be first taken through this module, that module, that module. There's a whole mechanism to it. Every employee on joining, on the day of joining, or before that, is given a login and a password. There's something called as a learning management system. Some companies have it. If you don't have it, we provide the services from our side. So the entire induction modules are resting on the LMS. The person logs in, the way we are doing it right now. He puts the earphones and he's got a screen in front of him. Being a webinar, I'm not using any videos, graphics, interactive gaming, etc. It's like a seminar. There, what happens? There is a video which comes, the animation which comes, somebody guides them through it, and it's as if the person goes through a fantastic experience wherein we can give you an animated character which talks to the person, tells them what to click, where to do, and completely makes it a fun experience for the person to learn about various aspects. The trick here is what first, what later on. Suppose a form is to be filled. An animated pen also tells the person, fill your name here, and comes and scratches the name over there. Those things can be done. All fun and convenience. But if you want your employees within the first 1 hour of being in my company, what the person should do, second hour, third hour, fourth hour. So once it is defined, we have a systematic mechanism by which it can be executed. It works wonderfully well for inducting single employees. There are companies, I mean, I'll just share with you, there's a client of mine who has got hardly 10 employees joining in the whole year. That's it. It's into a bit of a research kind of a thing. They don't have many employees joining. So we have given them a stuff which is completely a web-based induction, wherein they're saying like, we don't want the induction to be in a manner that every time a new person is joining, we're figuring out what to do. Make it systematic. We made it. So when a person joins, they give a login password and everything works systematically for them. It works for them, of course. Hope the answer was up to your requirement. Next, Sukanya has got a question. So is it good to have induction calendar for various department? Absolutely, absolutely yes. There's no two ways about it. E-induction or induction never ever, never ever proceed without a calendar and a schedule. In e-induction, the entire schedule is given online where you know and the candidate knows, the participant knows how the person is being inducted. HR part being common, yes, HR part is always common, HR policies are common, and in the calendar, you should choose when you want the HR part to be played. Jyoti has a question here. Do you recommend e-learning induction program for staff hired at field level? I think I've answered this question, Jyoti. This is clear. Mohini has got a question. Hi, will e-induction program be effective to factory staff workers? Mohini, I would like to share some experience with you. In my Synergia Consulting, that's my change management business, I do a lot of work with factories on transforming their culture, etc. And a very interesting experience what we went through was inducting factory workers using e-learning. It was a lovely experience because if you look at the psychology of an industrial worker, the person doesn't interact with the computer. So we give them something which is narrative based, we give animations on it and give a fun based learning. And the very same things, you have to wear your uniform every day. If its uniform is torn, you have to do this, do that. The same thing was done using animation and it was a lovely experience. Just to run you through how this thing works out, any of you have been to Bangalore recently, and if you have been at the check-in gates of the Bangalore airport, you will see that on the screens near the security check, Vodafone has done some work for them. The Zuzus are shown going through a security check. Normally, we all know how painful and boring a security check process is, but it's a reality of life to go through it. But the Zuzus are shown doing a deodorant, pressing the deodorant, throwing the deo away, where to put the wallet. It is such a nice, lovely experience that what is a mandatory process also seems a little light for the person and understands exactly what to do. So it can be done for them. Sukanya's got a question. If in-house, could the induction be created and uploaded on the intranet? 100% yes. You can do two things to upload on the intranet. One, the way you upload any other file, the entire induction folder can be done using Captivate or Flash and all the stuff and go and put online. You can use HTML and XML tags and do it online. Or you can also use something called Moodle, which is an open source LMS. You can download it, customize it in case you've got technology people with you, and they can upload it onto your intranet. And on the intranet, it can work for you. On the internet, also it can work for you. So it's perfectly fine, subject to the fact that you're looking at an intranet based induction. Akanksha has got a question, but how can it be cost effective and time saving? Now, cost effective works this way. Depends upon how your induction is designed, currently what you're doing, and by taking which part of it online, you're saving the real time involvement of the other managers is one. That's of course time saving. And cost wise, once this is done, first the cost of bringing people to one location is taken care of. The cost of actual real time lost in doing the induction is taken care of, and the opportunity cost of the people not being inducted well is taken care of. So the cost part is very case to case and specific. I suggest you connect back with us. We'll discuss and understand what your real life scenario is, and we can help you with the cost benefit analysis. Rohan has got a question. What are the basic system requirements for this sort of an induction program? Rohan, if you want to go for a simple narrative kind of a thing, a very simple induction, a basic PC which runs Pentium or above is more than sufficient for you, which I'm talking about a very archaic kind of a thing. Any computer in your office, if you're able to check your mails, check your website, if it works fine, is sufficient. You don't need high funda technology for it. It works fine for you. Development, you require software. Running e-learning and e-induction, you don't require high-funder software. But only one word of caution: if you're using internet-based, web-based e-induction, you'll require a good net connection, preferably a broadband. Otherwise, animations don't work very well on it. Yeah, there's I think a continuation to your question, Bruhat, especially for simulation-based programs. As I answered, simulation-based programs, depending upon the level of animations you've taken in, the level of gaming, the kind of hardware and software changes. Like suppose you've taken a very advanced game-based induction, which I normally don't recommend for companies which are not into those kind of things. Then what happens is you would have bought something high-end and it'll have a difficulty running on the low end. Always build your induction program based on the normal technology, normal people, normal culture, normal policies. Don't try to do it the other way. Always go with what you've got and build it on it. Sharon has got a point here. Can e-induction modules also be used as refresher training for existing employees? 1000% yes. Induction modules are the way e-learning is created is specifically created in a manner because in learning, all of us have been to training programs and some of us are trainers. I do a lot of training programs. I know one thing. I stand in the session, I run the entire program. When the guy walks out, I look him in the eye and I know exactly what his retention is going to be because that evening he's all charged up. Next day, 50%. After 1 week, lunch was good. The trainer was pretty cheerful. Things were nice. What exactly did you learn? Something about induction. That's the whole problem. So when we have a situation like this, we need refreshers. Any training program works fantastically well when there's a refresher. Induction, because the person is coming from a completely new environment into your world, and when things are very new, the person is trying to figure out. You do an induction program, he picks up something. Always do a refresher and have a refresher module handy. And e-induction, this is something I would love to share. There are, I think, two specific companies, two companies where we are not doing the induction for them, we are doing the refresher for them. The induction is happening the normal way, but after 1 month of the person joining, we have made a 1 hour module which is run for the person as a refresher, and that's how it's working for them. If you load it on a server, I think there's a question from Brad again. If you load it on a server, which platform would be better, a cloud server or an internal server? Rohan, if you really are tied up with a partner who's providing you a good cloud service, which means either you yourself are a company which does cloud work or you're tied up with somebody who's giving you cloud, you can always put on a cloud server. There's an advantage to it. A cloud server based stuff can be accessed anywhere and everywhere, especially when you talk of pre-induction and if your team is based all across the country and the world, etc. Always go for a cloud-based server. On the contrary, if you're a single office, only single premise, and everybody is based in one location, and you've got a very strong, robust internal server, and you got somebody who's maintaining the server well, then you can do it in the internal server. Technically, a cloud is a virtual internal server, so it doesn't make a difference for you. But if you have a cloud, take advantage of it. That's the in thing today. Thank you very much.